I belong to the warrior in whom the old ways have joined the new.
CZ P-07. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the CZ P-07, and obviously this one has had some modifications. I'll talk about those first. Starting with the less obvious modifications, I've done a full trigger job on this with the Cajun Gun Works Pro Kit. That replaces a lot of the internal parts, springs, and in particular the hammer. You may notice if you're sharp-eyed, the profile of this hammer is a little bit different from the factory hammer. And the reason I did those changes with the Cajun Gun Works kit is this P-07 came with the worst factory trigger I've ever experienced in a modern production pistol. The double action had lots of stacking. The single action had a mile of creep. I mean, creep on top of creep. So the Cajun Gun Works kit cleans up the trigger. It doesn't lighten it a whole lot. The double action on this guy is 8 pounds and the single's 4.5. So lightening it isn't really what it does, although it is slightly lighter, but it really improves the other characteristics of the trigger a whole lot. The double action's now smooth, the single action's crisp. All right, let me give you a visual of the trigger. Here's the double action, it's very smooth. Single action, here's the reset. And you notice there's some take up to get back onto the wall, and then a very crisp break. Now that take up, that's part of the CZ design, the firing pin block, safety. There's always going to be a little bit of take up. If you try to take it all out, your trigger won't reset properly. So that's why some of the competition CZs, like the Shadow, doesn't have the firing pin block. I would say the trigger as it sits now, it feels a lot like a SIG 226 without the SRT kit. The short reset trigger. If you have the SRT, then that little take up before the wall goes away, but you can't quite do that with the CZ. So this trigger is not quite elite, but it's certainly much better than the factory trigger. Now, I hear people say CZ triggers are good, so I don't know. I guess most of them may be better than the one that I had stock, but this one was not good. Now, the sight system here, I had this milled by Primary Machine for the HoloSun K-Cut, and I chose that smaller optic because it just seems to fit the slide better. You know, the width of the optic there pretty closely matches the slide. I chose to put the irons in the front just to try it out, and it's a pretty good setup, I think. It does have some advantages. It puts the dot closer to your eye, which is a good thing if you consider this your primary sighting system. It gets it farther away from the ejection port, so all of your gunpowder residue, it won't cloud your glass that much. And also, it means you can see the dot all the way to the bottom of the window, so you don't have your irons blocking your view there. If you have irons rear, and this is an M&P, you know, your rear sight can block your view of the dot if your dot is at the bottom of the window. So, yeah, some pros, some cons, depends what you like, I guess. So the CZ P-07 is a little unique as far as being a polymer framed, hammer fired, double action, single action gun. There are a few others, like the CZ P-09, of course, the larger cousin of this one. The SIG P-2022, some of the Beretta PX4 Storm series. But that's all I can think of right now. So just to compare with some other guns, here is a Glock 19. Very similar in size and weight. The Glock is about 3 ounces lighter. Glocks are all very good on weight. Now, one thing I want to comment about the CZ line of pistols is a lot of people say they have a low bore axis, and it is kind of low, but it's not as low as people often tout. You know, a lot of people talk about how low the slide is. Well, there's still a rail there, right? It's just you can't see some of it. And if you count the point where you actually put your hand trying to line up the bottom of these slides here, you see you get a lot higher grip on the Glock than you do on the CZ. And this is just any hammer-fired pistol. You got to make room for that hammer mechanism, right? So usually striker-fired pistols in general, you can get a higher grip on because you can come right up to that slide. So just saying, the bore axis is good. It's not super low. The grip, it's textured. It's not very aggressive. I would say it feels a little bit blocky, and have another comparison to show you about that in just a minute. So what would you want one of these guys for? Well, basically for anything you might want a Glock 19 for. It's a good mid-size gun. It's a do-it-all kind of gun. You could conceal it. It's also suitable for use as a main duty weapon, I think. So what about other options? Another competitive option, also from CZ, would be the PCR. Now, strangely enough, the PCR is actually lighter than the P-07 by 1 ounce, despite being metal framed. I don't quite know how CZ did that, but it's interesting. And I think the shape of this grip, the metal framed CZ75 series guns, it's just a little more contoured, and in my hand it feels better. And also the non-Omega line of CZ75 type guns, I think they all have better triggers. So, and this one's also been Cajunized, but factory to factory or Cajun to Cajun, the non-Omega line has better triggers. So that's about it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick review. CZ P-07's a fantastic pistol if you want to blend a little bit of the old and the new. Thanks for watching.